Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our newest episode of the CATIA Design Talks. We are going to discuss the topic of subdivision modeling today. And it's a great pleasure for me to welcome my first guest, Tomas Ivaskevicius, who is a product and automotive designer based in London with a long experience in product design and even longer in automotive exterior and interior design. Tomas studied industrial design in Finland, where he was picked up by Nokia right from the design school. And he spent around 8 years, designing mass market smartphones and accessoires. About 10 years ago, he became a design consultant working with major brands in transportation and automotive industries. Right now, he's Yacht design consultant, taking projects from scratch to all the way to production. And he's also one of our CATIA champions. So let me introduce Tomas with a video of his work.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone. Hi.
Great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. It's nice to be here. Nice to be doing this talk. It's really exciting.
Yeah, me too. And let me welcome my second guest, who's Nick McFerran, my dear colleague and our surface refinement expert. Welcome, Nick.
Hello, Honorata. Hi, Thomas. Nice to be here.
Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad up here in Manchester. So, yeah, it's pretty good.
Great. So, first question and most important one is, what the hell is subdivision modeling? Can you explain to us and give us some examples?
Yeah. So, well, thanks, Tom. Thanks, Honorata. What I wanted to say is, so I'm running a little video here. I'm a Class A surfacing guy. I've been using ISOM Surf since 1997, and I've never really got to grips with sub-D modeling, and this is CATIA Imagine and Shape on the screen right now. So what is sub-D modeling? What's it all about? Tell us about it, please, Thomas.
Well, it's a kind of different method of modeling. I think it's fastest way to get your model done, and it's also the main thing about it is that once you work with it, it's always continuous surface, so you don't need to worry about like connecting or patching the holes, all continuous holes like you have in conventional modeling techniques. So that means you can make really quickly, you can make the very detailed model and actually evaluate it much faster. So that is why you can do a lot of design loops in very short time and then get to the result much quicker. So that's why I'm using it quite a lot in my design process.
Okay, so
that's in a nutshell. Yeah.
Okay, so when I think back to Class A surfacing, we start with a clay with sections, so a scan of a physical clay, or sometimes we start with sketches, and we carefully build up the model with curves and surfaces, constructing with theoreticals and overbuild, and we do it very carefully, and we can always check the quality as we go. So it's progressive. You gradually evolve the model, and yeah, so it takes time and skill. So how does that compare with sub-D?
Well, in sub-D is in a way like a clay itself. It's a kind of a live material. So in a way, I would say you don't need clay. This subdivision is like your clay. So it's very, very effective in creative process itself. So you start to morph the form early in the process. Like I show in this example, this is a product design kind of tutorial I made. So just starting to get the volume in the beginning. It doesn't have to be that precise, but actually you get that volume, and then you get that proportion that you're looking for. So in a way, it's like a piece of clay. And then as you go, you start adding more complexity to it. And then at some point, when you have it, when you're happy with the proportion and the volume, you have to make another step, which is making like a more precise and more controlled 3D sketch on it. So it's like the kind of what I use in Imagine and Shape is like I project the 3D curves onto this volume model, and as I go, I add more and more curves. So those curves are they become my kind of main guide curves, and I can change them because they are parametric. And then later, I can make the image surface on it. And as I go, I start to add more complex surface to these guide curves. And that's how the model is precise. I already know that the proportion is right, and then I keep adding those details. So this is basically this is basically how you get very quickly from the proportion model to the styling model, very detailed styling model. That's the idea.
Okay, so the conceptual proportion model is not so accurate, right? So I guess it's quicker to get it more or less right, but then afterwards you can then make it more precise and add specific dimensions, parameters to it afterwards. I mean, that's
yeah, because I mean, usually in design industry, the beginning, it can be quite challenging, you know, like to actually start it off. And that's where, you know, this tool is so brilliant, you know, it's easy to start from there. So yeah, so there are two stages, you know. First stage is the proportion and low polygon type subdivision model. And then the second stage is more like styling study based on that, which is much more detailed. So this is this is how there are two main stages basically.
Okay.
So I can show as well some example about the about these things, like exterior design study I did. It's coming up. Yeah. So basically, this is what I meant, that, you know, the proportion study, this is quick to do, and there is no sophisticated lines or anything like that. As you see, it's basically like almost like, you know, a Japanese origami, like folded structure. So that's where, you know, I really enjoy as designer, you kind of looking for things and seeing how the concept works, and finally, you know, you get this proportion that you're happy with, and you say like, okay, this is the concept, I'm happy, and I know that this has potential, and now I want to, you know, detail it.
Okay, so you mature the design to a certain level. So when it's at the early stage, it's super easy to make changes. Big, grand, sort of proportional changes, and then once you've kind of got that more or less right, then that's when you go into the next stage.
Yeah, yes. So the step in between is important. So it's basically the same exterior, but you can see this is the actually 3D sketch based on the low proportion or like low poly proportion model. So what you do, you do the same thing I showed in the video just now, and you 3D sketch on your proportion model, and that is kind of a styling exercise that you do. And then finally, when you've done, you project the surface on that 3D sketch, and that's the result of that.
That's a really interesting design. Go ahead, Honorat.
Yeah, I just wondered, how long does it take you to create something like that, this concept, from the sketch that you did to the surfaced model?
Yeah, good question. I think it depends on the case, how fast result needs to be, viewed. But for example, the proportion study can be done very fast. I mean, I'm talking about a day or something like that. So that's kind of when you have the blocky proportional study, that can be done very quickly. Then the styling, the next stage, styling study is a bit more, takes more time, but I think it's also maybe, I would say that if you talk about for example, car exterior, to do it in the detail level I just showed, I would say that maybe 1 week is a good time to say that, okay, you can do high level detail and good result in 1 week. So you have like proportion study, and then you quickly turn it into styling study. So I think around 1 week would be fair. Of course, you can always do it shorter, but then you maybe sacrifice some of the quality to it. And yeah, there is some things like in between. It doesn't have to be finished that much sometimes, because when you work in the industry, you notice that the pace is crazy, and sometimes you don't have that much time. You can of course go halfway, and still it's working. You can still make design decisions and critique design.
So Thomas, you mentioned quality. So I see Imagine and Shape and 2D modeling is really great for conceptual modeling, but does it have the same level of quality for production products, for production surface models, for example?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think when it comes to CATIA, Imagine and Shape, I think that quality is very, very good compared to others, just because CATIA is very has that good surface in there already. So, but I don't think that, I think there are some cases that is being produced the surface, but it's still very rare. But I think it's coming. The thing is that if you want production surface from kind of IMA, for example, the complexity of modeling kind of grows, because you need to be very, very in control, and the detail level has to be very, very high. So in the end, you end up building if you talk about production, you will end up building quite complex 3D spline structure where you project that EMA surface. And I think it's a bit more time consuming, but I think it's still faster than conventional modeling. But to answer the question that in production wise, I think it's possible, but it's not yet there being widely used. So, but it has potential. It has potential.
Okay, yeah, because Imagine and Shape's been around for a while. It's in CATIA V5 and in 3D Experience. So I guess a lot of people maybe not so aware of it. So what is it about what's happening now in particular that sub-D modeling is becoming so popular?
It has potential. Why it's coming popular? Well, I think it's just that the access to the tools and different softwares is being very easy now. Also, the kind of the easy ways of using these tools also, improved. People can access them and learn them fast, and then the amount of tutorials has grown substantially online. When I start with EMA in car design, there barely was any EMA tutorials really. Like it was more like maybe 6 years ago or 7. So there were very little material actually, but now you can see there's so much things you can take on and learn. It's amazing. So it's really good to see, because I mean that's such a creative way of doing things, and for me as designer, it's great to see that coming, like, into mainstream.
So I think could it be a combination of things like YouTube and 3D games? The game industry is going crazy, and you've got all the new game engines, and there are tools out there that anybody can download and play with. But for those sort of downloadable apps, is the technique the same, would you say? I suppose, can you apply the same methodology that you use with downloadable apps, the free apps, in CATIA Imagine and Shape? Are they transferable skills?
Yeah, absolutely. I use Blender a lot as a supporting software for my processes, and I've been experimenting that, and I've been merging that with Imagine and Shape, and it works really well. In very beginning of the process, I use Blender. It's so fluid and so creativity driven. At some point, when I start to want more precision, I just export the OBJ file into Imagine and Shape, and I continue from there, and it works beautifully. The OBJ format with Imagine and Shape, and then I start adding more details and trim the model and do things like that. So yeah.
Okay. Are there any products that you would say are best for being done with subdivision modeling? Any preferred one, or would you say you can just do anything with it?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. I mean, it's you can do anything really. I remember when 7 years ago I started to use really heavily the Imagine and Shape before I used the conventional modeling. And when I started to use this Imagine and Shape, I never wanted to go back to conventional modeling after that. It just was so intuitive, so fluid, and as a designer, you could make decisions and experiment like on the fly, and you would still be able to give very detailed model to customer almost at any time. So that's, and I think like when it comes to product design, transportation, automotive, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You have that object you need to design, and this kind of modeling technique is, I think, perfect for designers and modelers alike. Yeah.
Sorry, Thomas. I can see where it's great for a cell phone, which is a fairly simple shape, but a car is lots of different shapes and lots of different parts. But the Imagine and Shape model is, if I get it right, it's one large surface. Is it easy to chop up the car into its individual panels and then share that downstream? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it depends how the model is built. For example, in the well, exterior, when you talk about car exterior, is most important is to keep it's a sculpture basically, and it's most important is to keep it together, and therefore the best approach is to keep one surface and keep evolving that so that the car looks wholesome. And then, for example, in Imagine and Shape, it's easy because you can keep that surface together easily, and then at some stage you can trim it in GSD. You can go switch to GSD and just trim it and fillet the trim edges, and then it looks completely finished model. But like in interior, for example, there is like hundreds of different parts. So what you usually do in that case, the 3D sketch that keeps parts and splits in place, and then you just choose which ones you want to keep in one surface or which ones you want to separate.
Okay.
Usually there is this, some common mistakes are done. People do the subdivision modeling, and and they think once complexity grows, sophistication grows, people don't use a 3D sketch or guide curves at all, and then you can start to see that it's not really going with the quality that well. So you always need to build that support structure for you to keep the quality up.
You mentioned GSD, so it's possible to mix and match all the CATIA apps with Imagine and Shape. So you could have Isom Shape Design, GSD, Natural Sketch, everything all in the same model, all in CATIA. So I guess that helps mixing those fine details and those Class A filleting, for example. You can just mix it all together, which is incredible. So it makes much more sense to me that it's a possible thing. So that's
it's a great thing. I mean, these that always been a trouble to make the split lines on the very fine IMA surface, but this way is really good, and I've been using that. And the beauty is as well that you can then, of course, tweak that IMA surface and everything will follow. So it's a parametric thing. So it's very good.
Excellent.
That's great. I would like to take the discussion to our audience now. So if you don't mind, it's time maybe to ask you out there, what's your opinion about subdivision modeling? Just put it into the chat. And if you have any questions, write them down and we will answer them. So we have received one question in the community already, which I don't really understand, but I'm going to show you. Maybe you can answer it. Just give me a moment. So that would be, have any tool for campus design for car HVAC kinematic? Does it say anything to you?
Well, I don't really get it.
No. So user
It's probably not my area.
Please tell us exactly what you mean, then we will try to answer the question. Okay. We have one other question that was placed here before. It is not concretely for sub-D modeling, but as we have to give people some time to type in, I'm going to show this question as well. This is one for you, Nick, probably. So can we say nowadays that CATIA V5 is losing value in favor of the CATIA 3D experience because some functions are also integrated into the CATIA 3D experience?
Wow, okay. Well, CATIA V5 is our famous backbone. You know, it's used all over the world in all the different industries. So CATIA 3D experience is integrated onto the 3D experience platform. So I would say no, it's not losing value and it's not losing in favor. It depends on which tools you use. So V5, CATIA V5 or CATIA 3D experience are both equally valid and fantastic technologies, solutions.
Okay, thank you for this one. We have some other questions. I'm going to put them here from Tomislav Solina. Hi, Tomislav.
Oh, hi, Tomislav. Yeah.
Hey,
we haven't seen each other for quite some time. So what computer specification you need to support your modeling method?
Yeah, I think the more powerful, the better, of course. But when it comes to, you know, if you use CATIA IMA, you might, and if you have a very complex modeling, the more powerful you can get is the better. But I think I use myself just 16 gigabyte RAM, and it's been enough. But I don't do the much of visualization. I just build the model, complex model. So I can get away with not that powerful machine. But once you get to the complexity of, for example, building the entire interior or exterior with all the splits and trims, I would recommend, yeah, just go to the max and have as much memory and as powerful processors as you can.
okay, so maybe for conceptual modeling, you might need a kind of a mid-range CAD workstation or CAD laptop. But if you want to do the full model stack up, maybe you need a more high-performance machine. So like a yeah, okay.
Yeah, it depends. It depends what level you're doing it. Yeah. So I think if you're starting, I mean, you don't need that powerful thing. But if you go to really industry, you know, level, so you need a powerful one.
Okay, thanks for that one. We have plenty more questions. So the next one is there any tutorial to begin with a simple model?
Yeah. It's a
Maybe
fair
we
question.
can post them in the community, actually, people. So, dear audience, you can meet us again in our creative design community. You will see the link right after the talk, and you can join the community, and there you can find tutorials. And then you can also get in touch with Thomas and Nick, and they will guide you through it and give you some advice. Yeah, so I think that's the best to take the discussion to a further level. Okay,
Yeah.
so next one. What if we import the file from other softwares like Rhino?
Well, I guess it depends on what the file type is. So I don't know if Rhino exports OBJ. like Blender does. I'm not sure, but certainly if you bring in an IGES or a step file of a surface model, that would then go beautifully into CATIA GSD, generative shape design, for example. But I don't know what would happen if you brought it into Imagine and Shape. Thomas?
Yeah, Rhino. Yeah, Rhino has also subdivision platform introduced just now. I haven't had that much time to do anything with it. I think it's good, but the thing is that if you want to, import Rhino file subdivision model, so you need to save it as OBJ, but you cannot have any smooth on it. You need to have it hard edge subdivision, and then just export it as OBJ, and I think it will work.
Okay, thanks for that one. We have one more question from Vincent. As a design tool, how do you find it responding to what you want to create, or do you find you are sometimes designing around the tool rate 1 to 10?
It's a good question, very good question. When I was working with conventional modeling before the subdivisions, and that was the case, you were trying, most of the time, you were trying to figure out how to model it. And once I switched to subdivision, Imagine and Shape, it's completely different. You actually think about the concept and design intent, and the surfaces, because they always automatically connected. They come together beautifully. So you don't even need to think about that connectivity, which you would normally. So that's why I would say, like, if you rate 10, I would give 10 to subdivision for creative design modeling, and then probably the conventional modeling is more like production oriented. So probably when you want to produce something. So it's a different kind of thinking. So that's why I choose subdivision for the creative process.
Okay, the next question would be, how powerful CATIA V5 is compared to other software solutions?
I guess he means CATIA Imagine and Shape. How does it compare to other sub-D modeling packages? Well, I would hand that question to Thomas, because I don't know the other packages so well. I'm more of a Class A guy. So, what do you think, Thomas? Have you tried? I mean, obviously there's lots of choice.
Yeah.
How does CATIA Imagine and Shape compare to the other ones?
I think that's the thing, is that CATIA has the sort of ability to sort of take you all the way to production, which is always the goal when you're designing things. But with Imagine and Shape, you can also have very efficient creative process from beginning onwards. Of course, what's also very good advantage is that all the technical input from engineering can be very easily handled with CATIA, and the precise hard points can be very easily offset and projected onto Imagine and Shape surface. So this is very big advantage compared to other softwares out there, which, if you work in the industry, you will see that you will have to handle a lot of input data.
Yeah, and that's one advantage of, sorry, One big advantage of working on CATIA on the 3D Experience platform is 3D Experience is a single source of truth across the whole organization. So you can bring in all the information you need from all the different departments and share that information across those departments back to them and to deliver the information. So if you're having to hop in and out of other packages, importing and exporting, there's lots of room for error. But if you're working on 3D Experience, or with an Ovia, of course, you can keep all that data integrated and organized. So for me, that's the huge advantage of using CATIA Imagine and Shape. It's a part of the CATIA family.
Yeah, for sure. We have a few more questions, actually. Let me go with this one. This is coming from our community, from Thierry. How much time to learn and be able to master IMA just as you?
Well, thanks for the question. I think, I mean, do I master it? I mean, I'm always saying to myself, and have I reached the level, or I'm still learning, I think. But to reach this kind of level takes some time. It's just no way around it. I think when I started in automotive industry doing this, it was very, very intense. And I think what you need to do is to build as many models as you can. And I think it will be maybe could take maybe a couple of years to until you feel you are within a comfortable level with yourself. And I think it's also, you have to ask yourself honestly, am I there yet? You know, have I achieved that level? And once you feel that, yeah, you can model pretty much anything really quickly with the level of detail, and you feel very comfortable whatever comes your way. So that's when you have reached that level.
Okay, so we have lots of questions about tutorials, dimensions, and things like that. For those of our audience who are asking about that, I'd like to invite you to please come into the community, and we can discuss that further with you there and give you some guidance. And for now, I will take just a few more questions, and then we should end because we are over the time already. So we have one more question here from Adam.
Oh, Adam. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Hi.
Yeah,
I know him too. As more studios integrate subD into their design workflow at various stages, how do you see CATIA's strengths lie when compared with software like Alias's integrated solution, which is already in studio and in use, and also Blender, which is free? What do you see as the benefits over these other solutions?
That's a good question, Adam. Speaking from Dassault's perspective, most automotive OEMs and most large manufacturers across all industries making use of CATIA or an Ovia or 3D Experience, it's the integration part. Sure, there are other products, popular products in this design studios, but that's where it ends. So for that continuous story, that digital continuity, to go from creative design through surface refinement into product experience and then on into engineering, simulation and manufacturing, that continuous story is the big advantage of the CATIA family. It's all integrated, one single source of truth without any breaks in those continuities. It's really important these days. So that's the big advantage that I see from the Dassault perspective.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think as we mentioned before earlier, I think the strength comes to keeping everything in one place and taking everything from the very scratch to production. That's a big advantage. because not many softwares can actually do it in this industry. So from very, very creative, like we're beginning of the creative design process, to very, very precise production, and it's all done in one software. That's amazing, I think.
Of course, and another aspect for Imagine and Shape that I've come across is in motorsport, where it's possible to very quickly model those aerodynamic surfaces. So maybe not in a aesthetic or cosmetic approach, but just maybe if you're using Simulia for your aerodynamic studies, then you can use Imagine and Shape to very quickly make those smooth, high quality models based off of your results in a ModSim environment. So it's not necessarily just design studios using Imagine and Shape, but also aerodynamic departments.
Yeah. So we have so many more questions. I will take one more question, and then I need to ask all of you, please, 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 come to the community, and we will answer the rest of your questions there. So let's choose one, maybe this one. Can subdivision model make accuracy in dimension or production parameter it's suitable for CAM accuracy?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's fine. And again, Thomas, you can speak with more experience of sub D, but with CATIA Imagine and Shape, it is just in the CATIA family. So of course you can mix and match it with generative shape design, with part design, and all the other apps in the family, and through to Inovia and Delmia. So Delmia, our production brand. So absolutely, I believe, yes, of course. Do you have anything to add to that, Thomas?
Yeah, I think that the precision comes from, well, you make these, like I shared before, you have the structure in CATIA, like 3D curve or surface, which is precisely placed in the location where you need to. And the beauty of it is that you can project the EMA surface exactly in that area and reach that precision that you need in that area. So this is something that you can't really do with other like Blender or stuff. You have that option in CATIA. So yes, you can reach the very accurate level if you want to.
Okay. Last question. The last question, I promise.
Oh, the last one. Okay. Well,
there are so many. I'm sorry, but and I want to particularly say hello to all our CATIA champions who are following us today, and this is great to see you here. So, last question, and then we move on to the community. So the last one. First of all, thank you for your professional presentation, Thomas. Has the creative work with Imagine and Shape developed and accelerated over the last years?
Yes, I think now that like 5-6 years, and I think it's become much more relevant somehow. I think CATIA always been known for engineering and production, but now this thing is changing. I can see a lot of people using this tool for in many industries. So I mean, yeah, when I joined, there was very little, like I said. So yeah, popularity is growing, and it's because what I like about it is that the simplicity of interface in Imagine and Shape is that you don't have these hundreds of different commands that you try to figure out, but actually you use like maybe 10 different tools, even less, and that's enough to achieve a high level of model. So that's why I think a lot of people picking this up. It's simplicity and robust quality of the surface, and yeah, of course, it's a NURB surface. So I think that's why its popularity is growing.
Okay.
Okay, so my dears, it's been a pleasure with you.
Thank you. I want to thank all my friends there out there who tuned in, and, and my family,
Right?
and friends,
Okay.
and the new guys who tuned in. It was an absolute pleasure to talk about this relevant topic, and this. I hope you feel inspired, and you know, you want to do a lot of creative thing. So this is good discussion. So thank you everybody.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Thomas. I meet you in the community. I think we will have many users coming and discussing with you, because we have maybe answered half of the questions, and I'm sorry that we cannot do more, but it's 46 minutes now instead of 20. So I meet you in the community. You see the link here. Come and join us. Get in touch. You can even start a personal conversation with anybody, any member in the community, with a conversation pane. And we are looking forward to meet you there. Our next topic is coming up in July, and we will talk with a professor and his students from the University in Hamburg of Applied Science about their project of crane concept design. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Bye for now. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Stay safe. Bye.